It is simply criminal how overlooked past and some recent beloved RPG games become in such a short amount of time. Among the sea of new games constantly being released, RPGs that didn't get enough time to shine are quickly forgotten about and fade away. But it's thanks to the internet that we can easily uncover widely unappreciated RPG games, showing them the true love that they deserve. Here's our list of the top 10 underrated RPG video games. As one of Atlus's many hidden gems, Radiant Historia is an RPG often compared to Chrono Trigger, both focusing on plot points that include time travel. The Chrono Trigger and the Radiant Historia series go hand in hand. The game pinpoints you onto two split timelines, standard and alternate history. Radiant Historia also includes a journal that helps you keep track of important events on both timelines. Audiences adored this game and thought it was a thrilling RPG adventure. Some critics weren't as warm though, but they still found the game to be an impressive RPG for the Nintendo DS. The game's title is aptly named after Joan of Arc, as it's loosely based on her story, though with a bit of a fantastical twist. The tactical role-playing game was a PSP exclusive, and it made use of the console's mechanics very well. The story brought a fantasy-centric interpretation of Joan of Arc, having a fantastical twist on the tale. Taking place in 15th century Europe, it differs from reality as it features a war between humans and monsters. During gameplay, Joan leads her party into battle against these fantastical enemies. Something she didn't really do in real life, but it's a game and it's fun. The game actually released to excellent reviews, but being that it was a PSP exclusive, many never got the chance to play. The Legend of Zelda was fully 3D and almost entirely rendered in polygons. It had a twist on typical RPG combat. It combined turn-based mechanics with fighting styles seen in traditional arcade fighters. It controlled like any turn-based game, except its actions had attacks like slash kick and power punch. The story was fantastic too, and it focused on a character who only wished to uncover the spiritual secrets in the mist to obtain ancient and magical powers. Even though it's so underrated, its mixture of melee fighting and fantasy is unforgettable and quite unique. Giving you the control of an entire band of mercenaries, the last story was an immersive RPG that offered stealth gameplay techniques. The game's name and logo have been compared to the Final Fantasy series. This is funny as the creator of Final Fantasy also had a hand in the last story. The game had phenomenal success in Japan when it came out, however because of its exclusive Wii release, it wasn't as much of a commercial success in the rest of the world. For its time, the last story deserved more than it got for its story and fantastic soundtrack. This dark fantasy-centered RPG loosely based its themes and imagery on the Victorian era. Grim Dawn was unique from the other dark fantasy RPGs of its time. Its narrative was dimensional and incorporated ethereal beings that took this game's story for a really unique spin. Grim Dawn challenged you to reclaim what's left of the world as we know it, all while attempting to protect the very few humans who've managed to survive. With fast-paced gameplay, lots of looting, potions and weapons, this game kept players on the edge of their seats for hours. The claymation style of Helix made it stand out. Using clay as an outlet to represent a surreal environment, creator Mason Lindroth developed a bizarre and engaging RPG. The game took place from a first-person perspective. The light JRPG mechanics and quirky elements made it a very unique experience. The game referred to hit points as flesh and magical points as will. Oddly though, even though this plays such a small part, it persuades us to be involved in the world within Helix as it begs us to uncover more. The fantastical world of Folklore is forgotten by many. Since it was a PS3 exclusive, the RPG didn't reach the wide audience it really deserved. Folklore blended a familiar, murderous and mysterious comic book style narrative with Irish mythology. Folklore took place between two main environments, the real world and the netherworld. Because it's such an underrated game, remembering it unlocks a special part in the minds of fans. Some have described playing the game as an unforgettable, mystical experience. Others hope that Folklore eventually gets remastered for modern consoles, and sometime soon, please. Shadow Hearts was clearly overlooked because Final Fantasy took away all the game's attention. With a linear storyline and turn-based battles, it didn't seem like anything new, but the playability and quirky style captured the hearts of fantasy RPG lovers. Taking place in an alternative reality on Earth, monsters and mythical forces coexist with humans. Parasite Eve is a cult classic in both the RPG and horror video game communities. It was a terrifying horror role-playing game that became a part of the J-horror phenomenon. Squaresoft also made it their first M-rated game. Parasite Eve has been compared to Resident Evil, with similar combat and movements and armed forces taking care of the supernatural. Taking place over the course of 6 days, Parasite Eve has quick gameplay that will go by in a flash. Despite how much praise and recognition it got in the past, Parasite Eve has sadly fallen to the wayside in recent years, being left out of many RPG discussions. While the original Dragon's Dogma was already perfect, the Dark Arisen expansion enhanced it. The story involves the typical hero epic, but builds off familiar elements with various distinctive features. The expansive and immersive gameplay made it iconic for many fans of the franchise. The classes offered to the players are a perfect fit for anyone, such as being a fighter or an assassin. For how thrilling it is, it's shocking that Dark Arisen is so underrated. However, some have speculated that its Souls-like gameplay has pushed players away. And that is our list, but it's by no means definitive. There are bound to be dozens more similar games out there that never got the love they deserve, so share your favourites in the comments, and while you're down there, like, subscribe, and give the bell icon a tap so that you're notified whenever we've got new stuff for you to watch. I've been Chris, you've been gorgeous, and I'll see you again on the next one. Cheers my dears.